Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. We definitely have a change of scenery in projects today. I don't think this is a Land Rover, but this Chevy truck is part of the reason why this is all coined the Lost Cause Ranch. So Ted and I purchased this wonderful piece of machinery roughly 12 years ago, and it's pretty much in the same state as it was before. We purchased it as an abandoned project and made it an abandoned project. When we got this, it was on air ride. I don't want that. We're converting it over to coilovers. We have the Mustang 2 front end tacked in up here, 327 small block, not bolted in. But the previous owner installed this utterly massive C-notch in the rear frame, and we have like 10 inches of up travel room on the rear axle. And as you can see, there is about 4 inches before we lay rocker. So I'm not sure if they were trying to lay door handle or something. But like I said, we're switching this over to coilover rear suspension. It's gonna be low, but this much of a rear notch is definitely not needed. So today we are going to chop the frame back apart, get a much more subtle notch in it. So that way when we install the short box back on this guy, we don't have the notch making that bed completely useless. Probably about time, don't you think? Last week in one of the Simple CAD programs, drew up that cardboard template we made for the new notch. Now that we got that, went ahead and brought it over to the program for the laser. Figured since we have this guy, before we zip that file to get cut out of steel, we'll use the laser to make sure we got it right. This will be the first time using this guy for cardboard, but I figure we'll make sure the file matches the template. So we're just gonna send this guy over to here. Make sure it fits. I'll have to dial the settings in a hair, but that's pretty freaking neat. So there, we'll coin this process CAD. We got some computer aided drawing into cardboard aided drawing. So we just need to check the file on the C10, and I also labeled it so we don't get this one confused with all the other frame notches going on in the shop. So we'll just set her up here, line it up at the bottom, and we just need a tiny bit of a bend, and that looks pretty freaking money. So now we can zip this file off to get cut. Well, we've had a recent development, and this is out of the picture. Time to call an audible. So I sent the file over, and the CNC plasma table is currently down with a problem. So that throws a little kink into the plans. But we're not gonna let it stop us, because this has been 12 years in the making. And here at the Lost Cause Ranch YouTube channel, we run quite a tight production schedule, so we can't deviate from that. It would mess up all the other projects going on. So we went ahead and grabbed a chunk of 3-inch square tube, 3/16 wall. I think we can make something happen with this. We won't be needing these. Someone's out here sleeping on the job again. Some of us just have it rough. All right, now that we got some stuff out of the way and a little more room to work with, I'll kind of explain what we got going on here. So obviously this notch is too tall. We're gonna shrink it down. And originally we were gonna use 4 flat plates, 1 on each side, and that was gonna go something like this. Now that that's out of the question, we're gonna come in and replicate this crossbar here right in there with that 3-inch tube. So when we originally drew this template up, we set this right here as the ideal amount of clearance for the coilover setup. So what I'm going to do is mark out a line here so we know where the bottom of that 3-inch tube will go. And so we can keep this same level surface across the top, we will measure down, and that is 9.5 inches. And we will mark that out on the opposite side as well, right at the top of the frame rail, which should end up being perfect. And while we're at it, do the same on this side. And that is good that it ended up on that weld once again. So the bottom of the tube will be there, and we'll be right about there with the top. All right, so we're gonna do some more CAD, some cardboard aided design. And since there's an offset in the notch and frame itself, this is wider than 3 inches because it's gonna have to come in at an angle. So what we'll do here is we'll set this up to our 2 lines and we'll mark it. So there is our piece, and that slides in there just like that. And you can see the offset works nicely. Oh, it even stays. So now we just need to measure 3 inches up and see how much we need to shrink the top of that tube in. So we'll transfer this over to the tube. So there is what we have to cut out. So we got our 2 pieces cut out. You can see it's kind of a complex shape. We got a bunch of different angles going on there. But went ahead and threw a bevel on all of them so we can get nice penetration when we buzz these in. And that guy should work out swimmingly and be the notch we need. So we got those 2 buzzed in now. Gives you an idea on the height difference. Much more tolerable. But now we can start chopping some stuff apart. We got the frame all opened up. I have our cut marks sharpied out. So we're gonna zip the top of the notches off. I think we used all of that one up. That is much more low profile, way less intrusive to the bed area. I guess we finally made enough racket to wake Sasha up. She's been happier. Plates are cut out. Time to cap these off. All buzzed back in. Now we just need to clean it up. The mitering is a convenient feature on the little bandsaw. Makes life a lot easier. Much like the LR4 trip, we're playing a little battery rodeo. So we're gonna take a slight intermission from grinding on this guy while everything charges up, because all the batteries are dead. Previous owner sure did a number welding some of this stuff on, so we're gonna clean all that up. Good news is, a flap wheel on a 4.5-inch angle grinder will make a good welder out of anyone. So while we're waiting for all that, I think we'll tack this other bar in. That's a good thing to do during the grinding intermission. There is one thing I'm good at, making a mess wherever I go. Now that is much better. We got this side mostly cleaned up. We'll have a little bit of work dialing everything in, but it is looking pretty good. The two top bars, I'm just gonna leave tacked for now until I get the coilovers that we're using figured out. You may or may not know, but it is much easier to cut off a couple tacks versus full welds in case it needs to change for the suspension. This side definitely needs some more work to make it look nice, but we'll do that off camera. No sense in wasting your precious time. We do have a couple things left to throw at this thing. Did that actually work? Well, there we go. We got a couple gussets on there. But no, I just cut some triangles out of the same 3-inch square tube. Gusset in there. That'll sturdy the frame up. We gotta do a little cleaning up on the front here, along with the other side. But I'm kind of tired of waiting for batteries to charge. Angle grinder is a heavy battery usage tool, and the 5 of them I got, burning through them faster than we can charge them, so we're gonna call that good for tonight. We'll clean the rest of my disaster up in the morning. I'm happy with how that guy came together. Right here you can see just how big of difference that made. Massively shorter. The old notch was even with the tire height. Now we're much lower. But with those out of the way, for the first time in the 12 years that we've owned this, we'll be able to fit the pickup bed on it and make it a truck once again. Better late than never, I guess. So we'll get the box fit up. I don't know what else was cut off or modified on this frame by the previous owner. This was originally a long box, chopped down to a short box, so I'm not even sure the box fits. But that will be a future video, and after the box is fit up, we can blow the cab off and get the chassis painted. Maybe we could have a chassis paint day. But to get the cab off, we gotta do something with that guy. Stay tuned. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing, and it has been very relieving working on some of the projects that should have been handled years ago. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night. I sure do miss having our CNC plasma. Cut these guys out probably 10 years ago. Would have made this job a whole lot easier to have one in-house. Maybe one's coming sooner than later. We did just get a delivery this morning for some parts we were waiting on for one of the projects. Is it for the C10?